So warm water holds a lot less dissolved oxygen, which affects root health, and it actually creates root rot, which creates dead plants and a lot of problems.
You're listening to How to Hydroponic with Ryan and Tessa.
This is episode 6 of the series, and today we're going to be talking all about water, the importance of it, as well as what ones you should use. And so this is really important because if you don't use the proper water, hydroponics becomes super complicated and it doesn't work. And you're just gonna be very disappointed. And so this is an overlooked thing that we have found. And so diving in.
Yeah, and I mean, it might seem obvious because since you're replacing all of your soil with water, now the water becomes really, really important. It is basically the medium that's going to deliver everything to the roots. So that means it's going to deliver the oxygen, it's going to deliver the nutrients, the beneficial bacteria, but it also can be a delivery mechanism for bad things. And that's why it's important to start with a good source.
So when we explain water to people, what we found works very well, and for people to understand, is kind of comparing it to making cookies. So you want to, when you make cookies or bake anything, you want to start with an empty bowl. And this way you can guarantee that it's going to be consistent and you exactly know what you're adding to it. So you know it's going to produce good cookies. And so to get this empty bowl, Ryan.
Yes, the empty bowl.
What do people need?
People are going to want the purest water that they can possibly find. We might refer to this as high quality water. This is typically going to be found in two main ways. That's going to be reverse osmosis and distilled water. Now, this is the best because it is as pure as we can get water, and that means you're starting with an empty bowl. There's no unknown ingredients in there, so anything you add, you know what it is, you know how it's going to affect the plant, and you can get consistent results.
So then, if you guys don't have reverse osmosis or distilled water, the next thing is tap water, and that's probably the most common type of water. And can you use this and it's going to affect the hydroponics?
So I'd say tap water's a little like using a bowl that someone just finished using. So it's not like it's full of unknown ingredients, but it's still got residues of things in certain amounts you're not 100% sure of. Typically in hydroponics, you can get away with tap water, but again, you're getting into that territory where there could be things that you're just not sure of, and you're going to be adding more things to that bowl.
Yeah, so for us, it can work and it can't work. So when people come and ask us if they're using tap water, it's kind of like a 50-50. So that's why we're like, Yeah,
like if there's nothing available, you can't get the RO water, you can't get the distilled water, you probably can throw that in your hydroponic system and it'll be okay. If you use it exclusively, over time, it could get buildups of unknown things.
Yes. And then the next type of water is well water. And this is, people seem as it's all natural. It doesn't go through a filtration. It should be the best type of water.
Right. And the problem with well water, because it doesn't go through any filtration and it can come from any aquifer anywhere around, is it is basically a bowl of mixed ingredients and you have no idea how much or what. And you can imagine if you just have a bowl of mixed ingredients and then you start baking your cookies, you might get one batch of cookies that turns out one way, one that turns out the other way. And if you're calling up Betty Crocker and being like, why isn't my cake working? That's probably why your cake isn't working.
Yes. So well water, we highly recommend to avoid. And that is just because there's so many unknowns. Lots of the time it's going to be high in iron, sulfates. There's a lot of pathogens. And so you don't know what's in it. And so it's really hard to get consistent outcomes. And you're going to struggle a lot with your hydroponic system. You can do it. We're not saying it's impossible, but it's a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of extra work. So if you're willing to put the extra elbow grease in, you can do it.
And kind of a trap that some people fall into is if water is good for me, if it's high in minerals and stuff, it's good for me, it must be good for my plants. And it's just not the case. If it's really good for your plants, it doesn't mean you should drink it. And if it's really good for you, it doesn't mean it's good for your plants.
Yes. Now, talking about water, those you want for like reverse osmosis is better, but there's also another thing that is overlooked when it comes to water, and that's going to be water temperature. So for most hydroponic plants, the ideal temperature for the water, you want to have it between 18 and 24 degrees Celsius. If you guys work in Fahrenheit, that is 65 to 75 Fahrenheit. And this temperature, it strikes the perfect balance between the nutrients uptakes, root health, and the oxygen level.
But let's dive a little bit deeper into like what's happening if you go like one too far, say too cold or too hot. So if the temperature drops below that range, that's below that 18 degrees Celsius or 65 degrees Fahrenheit, it can have a few negative effects on your plant. Typically, the cold is actually going to start slowing down the plant's nutrients uptake. And this means that the plant, in simple forms, isn't able to take in as much nutrients, so it grows slower. It might even stop growing entirely.
Now, this is common to happen if you have your system on cement floors or in the basements where it is cooler. So you might experience this.
Yes. And when plants take in nutrients slower, and especially when they're in colder environments, they tend to be more susceptible to diseases because it stresses the plants. The plants aren't able to fend off disease as strongly, and that's why it's really important to keep that temperature range above that 18 to 65 degrees.
When the temperature is too hot, and this typically happens when it is in a sunroom, if you put your system outdoors, and it's just in an area that's very, very humid and hot. So if the water is outside or above the 24 degrees, it actually reduces the oxygen level in it. So warm water holds a lot less dissolved oxygen, which affects root health, and it actually creates root rot, which creates dead plants and a lot of problems. So you don't want that. As well as with these warm waters, it's more favorable for harmful pathogens, algae outbreaks, funguses, and again, it just makes growing hydroponically a nightmare. Plants aren't happy. You won't have any plants growing, and it's just going to end in frustration. So that's why you don't want it too hot and you don't want it too cold.
Exactly. Now, if you're just kind of, for lack of a better term, you're screwed. You have to have it in a hot environment. It has to be in a cold environment. There are things that you can do to try and maintain a good water temperature. Seems somewhat obvious, but basically water heaters and water chillers. Water heaters, they are obviously going to work if it's cold water. You can typically find these at a pet store, so an aquarium heater, and it's going to maintain that proper temperature if you're not able to just do it with the ambient air that it's around.
Water chillers, they are really expensive, and there's no way around that. But if you really want to grow, you can, and you don't have any other options, a water chiller is the option.
Yes.
So now that we went all about water, you had the perfect temperature. The next thing, and we keep bringing this up, is oxygen. And why is it important, and how do the plants use it?
So this is really important because oxygen is actually needed. I know we kind of think that plants use carbon dioxide and that's what they use to breathe. They actually still need oxygen, especially at the roots. And this is normally going to just be found in the soil air pockets, but when you're in hydroponics, it's sort of submerged in water, can be submerged in water. So you have to make sure that there is still oxygen in that water to help those roots.
So yeah, plants require oxygen for respiration. And that's a process, it occurs at the root cell, and it's going to be essential for your energy productions. So pretty much like due to the respiration process, plants convert sugars and oxygen into energy. And then this is used through various growing processes such as nutrients uptake, cell division, and just the overall development of the plant. So without sufficient oxygen, these processes don't take place, and it's just going to hinder your plants and lead to very poor plant health and no growth.
So how would I oxygenate my water, Tessa, if it isn't oxygenated?
There's two ways. You can do it actively, which is through equipment and electricity, or you can do it passively. And so actively, one way to do it is going to an air stone. And this just pumps air into the water, and that's all it does.
Yeah,
that's pretty much
pump.
it is.
And then passively is typically be through a water waterfall effect. So you have to break the surface of the water with other water that brings air into the water and creates that air bubble that's going to start to dissolve into the water. So now you have the oxygen in your water. And that is just sort of done with the movement of water, and it doesn't require a pump or anything.
So that is pretty much everything you need to know about water. A little summary is reverse osmosis water. That's what you want to use. If you can't, tap water, and high caution with well water.
Yeah, stay away from well water.
Yeah. You want to keep it between 18 degrees and 24 degrees Celsius or 65 to 75 Fahrenheit. And you want to make sure that it is well oxygenated if you want to have healthy plants and if you want to grow with very little effort. And so that was kind of everything. Our next episode, we're going to go into nutrients, everything that you need to know about that. And yeah.
Yes. And so if you like this kind of stuff, you want to dive in even deeper, you think we moved too slow, you can buy our book, which is Indoor Garden Hydroponic Secrets. You can find that at our website, which is www.hopeinnovations.ca. We also have worked really hard with our community to develop full hydroponic kits that follow everything that we've been talking about so far, known as the Eden Tower. You can find that on our website as well. Please subscribe, follow, and let your friends and family know about us. Help us grow so we can help you grow.